Everybody, welcome to another Making an Impact TNA Impact Wrestling review for August the 27th, 2014 show. Okay, this is the second show that aired on Wednesday nights. We have 5 matches, got a lot to talk about. Who is the number 1 contender, the Bobby Lashley's TNA World Heavyweight title? That's a big question. Also, we had a Knockouts number 1 contenders match to talk about. A 6-man X Division tag team match. We had the start of the tag team title challenge between Team 3D, the Hardys, and the TNA tag team champions, the Wolves. So we got a lot to talk about. So we're going to get started. And we're going to start off with the first item on the card. We started off the Impact Wrestling with Kurt Angle coming out to talk about the controversy from last week. Who's the number 1 contender? Is it Bobby Roode or is it Eric Young? And before we could get any more information out of Kurt Angle, he was interrupted by MVP Kenny King and the TNA World Heavyweight Champion Bobby Lashley, who all came to the ring. Now, Angle was up in the balcony making this announcement. Of course, this is still one of the TV tapings that took place at the Manhattan Center and Ballroom in New York City. They went on, MVP, to say that Bobby Lashley is the king of New York City, which prompted Tommy Dreamer to come out. They have a chance of words, and then a brawl breaks out, and we have a match, a hardcore match between, or street fight match, excuse me, between Bobby Lashley, a New York City street fight match between Bobby Lashley and the innovator of violence, Tommy Dreamer. Tommy Dreamer, I have to give him credit. He took out everything in the kitchen sink he could get his hands on to use on Lashley. There was one point in the match where he had the kendo stick, nailing Lashley with it, almost broke it across his back, but Lashley came back and hit a nice belly-to-belly suplex on Dreamer. They fought outside the ring for a while and got back in where Lashley was still dominating him. Kenny King tried to get his 2 cents into the match, but wound up taking a spear from Lashley after Dreamer was able to dodge it. Then Dreamer got a trash can and he brutally crowned Lashley with it. I'm talking Lashley took several shots with this, but still wouldn't go down. In the end, Bobby Lashley was able to hit the spear on Dreamer, and 1, 2, 3. Wow, I mean, I give Lashley credit. This guy was dominating, and despite the little minor interference from Kenny King, he was very dominant, and he took a lot of hard shots from Dreamer. I mean, this is a way to prove that Bobby Lashley truly is the dominator. That he is for real, and very impressive. And he's proven that he deserves to be the TNA World Heavyweight Champion. He's taken on comers, and yeah, you got MVP and Kenny King, but lately there's been very little interference from him, and Lashley is coming across as a dominant monster heel. And this is going to make it even more of a big moment when whoever defeats him for the TNA title. I still got my money on Bobby Roode. I think it's going to be Bobby Roode versus Lashley at Bound for Glory. But hey, we'll find out more about that later on. Great match. I give it 2.5. I wouldn't rate it more than that. It's nice to see Dreamer put over Bobby Lashley. So, I mean, it was a great way to start off the show, and I mean, it was a good way to get you motivated. So, if you missed it, it's a match worth checking out. I wouldn't put it in you must see this type category, but it was a good match. If you feel like watching it, do it, because it'd be worth watching. But it's not something you necessarily gotta watch. Okay, so we're going to move on to our next item. We had the Knockouts #1 Contenders match, Taryn Terrell taking on Madison Rayne. The match started up with them each trading near falls at roll-ups, and they were going for quick pins. They started out with sportsmanship. Now, Madison got a little aggressive during this match, a little heelish. At one point, she tried to use the ropes to get a pinfall advantage over Taryn, but the referee caught it. I don't know what it was about this match. It wasn't. I wouldn't say it was a terrible match, but it just wasn't grooving. I don't know if it's just they didn't have chemistry, but I also think it has to do with Taryn's not used to wrestling in a six-sided ring. Madison is, and she's still getting adjusted because there was a couple of clotheslines that didn't quite look, crisp and clean. It was mostly a lot of strikes. There was one spot where Taryn went for a crossbody on the outside of the ring and missed and landed on the ring on the floor. She landed a nice net breaker but couldn't get a pinfall, and another crossbody off the top rope and couldn't get a pinfall. Madison was more striking than anything else. There wasn't a lot of wrestling moves toward the end of the match. However, Taryn got the win by coming off the ropes after a clothesline and hitting a dive cutter, sort of like a stunner. And it was quite impressive. I have to give her credit. And she became the #1 contender. I kind of thought it was interesting that Madison Rayne was in a #1 contenders match, considering we hadn't seen her wrestle in a while. This is the problem with the TNA only having a 2-hour show. We left off with a feud between Madison and Brittany, and it's like, what's happened with it? Where do we stand with that? So that's the interesting thing that I would like to know. But still, we have now we have Taryn Terrell getting another title shot against Gail Kim, and that is supposed to happen next week. So if you missed the match, it's not a big deal. Don't worry about going back and watching it. But if you like women's wrestling, it's okay to catch it. It wasn't. I would give it a 2, but 2 stars. But it barely gets a 2-star. It's not the worst match I've ever seen, but it wasn't a great match. It was average. But like I said, it was impressive to see that diving cutter that Terry hit, and she's really improved. She really has over the past year and a half. So I expect we're going to see her as Knockouts champion, but now it's a question of when. And especially with the future of TNA up for grabs, there's a possibility she may never be TNA Knockouts champion. We just got to wait and see what the future holds. But I think she would make a good champion. It's just going to be a matter of when they decide to put the belt on her and if TNA is still around. I hope TNA is. So I like to see Taryn Terrell as Knockouts champion. At least I like to get to see her wrestle live, but don't know where that is in the future. So we'll just have to wait and see. We had a 6-man X Division tag team match that saw Low-Key, Tigre Uno, and Crazy Steve take on Homicide, DJZ, and Manic. I was surprised Manic was on their team, but great match. Not a fan of Crazy Steve, but he was alright. But oh man, there was a lot of moves in this match. At one point, Manic had gotten on Low-Key, I believe, a octopus stretch, but Low-Key during the match it hit drop kick Manic and it was Low-Key that got the octopus on Manic and then hit this nice double stomp on Manic. It was really nice to see it. One point Low-Key went for the for the key crusher on Homicide, but Homicide was able to block it. This was, and it was sort of an interesting match to watch Manic wrestle as sort of a heel. I mean, they went back and forth. There was a nice Hurricane Rana from Loki on the Manic. DJZ was got a little offense in, not much. I've got messages coming in, so I'm kind of trying to keep an eye out for some messages I'm expecting. But there was this nice springboard thrust kick from Loki on the Manic, and it was a nice kick. This was a fast-paced match. It was going back and forth. At points, it was it was just a spot fest. But Loki gets the win for his team by hitting the key crusher on Manic, and it was just academic. Question is, who's going to be the one to face Samoa Joe for the TNA X Division title? I think Loki would be the obvious choice, but the problem is that they need a couple more X Division wrestlers. How long is Loki going to be in TNA? And same thing for Homicide. Is it just for these TV tapings in New York? That's $1 million question. And if that's the case, that just leaves Tiger Uno, DJZ, Crazy Steve, and Manic. And I think you need more. This is a match, I give it a 2.25 star. It didn't catch my attention, and it was just hard. I lost a little focus on the match, to be quite honest with you. That's kind of why I was glancing at my computer. I went back and watched the match. So it's not one of those matches you absolutely got to see. If you missed it, not a big deal. Don't worry about it. But, and I was wrong earlier when I said it wasn't 5 matches, it was 6 matches. So I do apologize for my little error there. But nevertheless, Low-Key, Crazy Steve, and Tiger Uno were the winners of this match. So if you're interested in checking it out, go ahead and check it out. Otherwise, don't worry, you didn't miss much. Okay? Let me rephrase it. I wouldn't say you didn't miss much. I would say it's not the end of the world. You're not going to die if you don't watch the match, is what I'm saying. Yeah. So let's move on. Kurt Angle said that he was going to talk to Bobby Roode and Eric Young, and they did talk, and Bobby Roode came out to the ring later and announced to everyone that next week it would be the It Factor, Bobby Roode versus Showtime Eric Young. The winner will be the number 1 contender to Bobby Lashley's NXT World Heavyweight Championship and will get the next title shot. Eric Young came down, and they both talked about how they started out in TNA. They started out with Team Canada, and they were NWA World Heavyweight Tag Team champions. They fought each other throughout the years and such. And then Eric Young talked about how he was the People's Champion, how he fought, defended that belt for the fans. And that he talks about Bobby Roode being one of the greats currently and the best, and that Eric Young says his answer will not change, but he is just as good as Bobby Roode, and that next week they're going to tear the house down, and that Eric Young is going to prove that he's just better next week. I'm looking forward to it. Going to be interesting. I think both guys in this segment made their points. The fans were really into it. Bobby Roode was very serious. He wasn't joking around, and you could tell that he has the eye of tiger, that look in his eye. Eric Young, of course, grinning and stuff, but he was serious too. Interesting that we're going to have this match. I think it's going to be a great match between Roode and Young. I don't look to see Roode Young to get the win, but they could go for a no decision or a double interference where somebody comes in and interferes in the match and leads it to a no decision, which would lead to probably a triple threat match. A triple threat match would be a way for Roode to win the title without making Lashley look weak. But I think for the championship title change to mean something, whoever is going to be the next champion has to pin Lashley. I don't think there's any ifs, ands, or buts about it. They have to pin Bobby Lashley to win the title. Now, I hope that they give Roode and Young at least 15, 20 minutes, because I think these guys can put on one hell of a match and impress the fans. But whether or not they will get that opportunity, I do not know. I don't read spoilers, so I'll be surprised next week to find out who won. And I'm looking really forward to it. I think it's going to be a good match. And I would recommend watching this segment just to see the passion that both of these men have in their eyes, and that they are serious. And I think they're going to go all out, and we're going to see one hell of a match between these two. I think we're going to see a lot of near falls. We're going to see a lot of high spots from these guys, and we're going to see some like holy shit moments, and we're going to see a lot of, oh my God, I can't believe he kicked out of that. So it's going to be interesting to see. It happens next week, so we're just going to have to, hold out for a week before we can see it. Grudge match between Ethan Carter III, EC3, and Rhino. Last week, they had came down to the ring, and EC3 brutally went after Rhino, blaming him for his Aunt Dixie Carter going through a table, courtesy of Bully Ray. Well, this match, I have to give credit to EC3. He looked vicious, and he looked like a serious, person you don't want to screw with. He waylaid on Rhino at one point. He had him in a nice submission hold. He was really going on him. Rhino came back and got some good offense, and a couple of times he was going to hit the gore. The first time, Rockstar Spud got on the ring apron, distracting the referee, and that allowed EC3 to low blow Rhino, and EC3 went for a pinfall attempt, but Rhino kicked out, to everyone's amazement. Then they had some more offense, and Rhino got EC3 set up for another gore. And once again, Spud got up on the ring apron, distracting the referee and Rhino. But when Rhino turned around, EC3 nailed him with the chair. The referee saw it. It caused a DQ. And then EC3 viciously beat Rhino with the steel chair. Viciously beat him. And he even shoved the referee out of his way, and even shoved Spud when Spud tried to stop him, and EC3 threatened to hit him with the chair. Wish he had, because I can't stand Spud, Rockstar Spud. Yeah. But anyway, it was brutal. Great way to get EC3 over as a serious threat heel. A guy that who's not above getting down and dirty, and showed a new side to this character, making it edgier, and I think that's a good thing. I'm a bit high on EC3. I think he's a great talent. I think WWE dropped the ball with him when he was there as Derek Bateman. The guy's got a ton of charisma. He's took the EC3 character and he's ran with it, and he's made it into something. He's made himself into a star. And depending on the future of TNA, he very well could be TNA World Heavyweight Champion. It's just a matter of whether or not he's going to be able to, do that. Like I said, this was not a bad match. It was just your standard wrestling match. It wasn't a disqualification match, but it was good. It was an all right match. I give it star and 3/4. I wouldn't go any higher than that. But I think the big thing about this is the match showed the vicious side of EC3, and it's kind of cool to see that side of EC3. So, you know, how long this feud's going to go on between EC3 and Rhino, don't know. So it's going to be interesting to see what the future holds for EC3. But for right now, he's going to feud with Rhino, and I'm sure we'll see another match between them, probably a hardcore match, which that would be interesting to see. Next match of the night was Austin Aries, the greatest man that ever lived, taking on the great Sanada. His new name crowned upon himself by the Cowboy James Storm, who's been telling everyone lately he is a legend in TNA, and he's going to make. And it looks like he's creating his own stable, starting with Sanada, who he's renamed as the Great Sanada. Sanada came down in a jacket-type robe with a hoodie, and after he pulled the hoodie back, it showed his face painted like the Great Muta. Austin Aries, God, Austin Aries, one of the great talents in TNA. What can I say about this man? He hits the most perfect missile drop kick from the top rope. I mean, this guy is great. Several times it looked like Aries was going to win. He hit a nice distance clothesline on Sanada. Sanada several times tried some good moves. One good move he got was a nice little netbreaker type maneuver on Aries as Aries was coming through the ropes. It was really a nice move. There was a nice suicide dive by Aries through the ropes. I mean, it was like perfect. And Aries was just waylaying him. I mean, it just was amazing. They went back and forth. He had a nice neck breaker on Sanada. It really looked like Sanada was going to lose this match. I don't know what's, this was, it still just shows Aries strong. At one point, he had a nice hold type submission on Sanada, but Sanada bit his fingers. And Storm distracted the referee, which allowed Sanada to spray green mist in Aries' face. Okay, we all know the Great Muta was one of the things the Great Muta was famous for, was spraying the green mist. It helped him to capture so many titles. I think one of the titles to me that sticks in my mind is a U.S. title in Jim Crockett's promotion. When he defeated Sting for the NWA World Television title. He would later go on to lose the title to one AA Arn Anderson. So, but this was a great match. And of course, Sanada hit a hard stiff kick to the head and got the 1-2-3. This was a great way to put over Sanada. But, Aries had a good showing. I like to see Aries get back in the main title picture. I like to see him get another title run with the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Now, going back to the great Sanada, what do I think is going to happen? I think this is going to be leading up to a match between the great Sanada and the Great Muta. And rumor is they're going to have it as a tag team match. Another wrestler from Wrestling 1, the team with Muta, while Sanada teams with the Cowboy James Storm. I'm all for it. It'd be interesting to see how this match would be. It's nice to see them giving Sanada to do something now that he's no longer the X Division champion. And it keeps him relevant. But I was surprised that they're putting James Storm into a managerial position. Is Storm injured and can't wrestle? Is it something we don't know about? I haven't heard anything to the contrary saying that Storm is injured and can't wrestle. So if he is, it's news to me, and they're keeping it well hidden. Again, this was another one of those 2-star, 2.25 matches. It's a good match to go and watch, but it's not like you got to watch this match. You know what I'm saying? But it's still a good match in my opinion. If you're an Austin Aries fan, yeah, definitely check it out. I mean, definitely watch it. Okay. We had the debut. Sorry, I had an itch. I had to scratch my foot. Don't worry. Anyway, we had the, well, not the in-ring debut, but we had the debut of Chris Melendez. I hope I pronounced his last name right. He is the vet with the amputated leg. He's his left leg, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, he made his debut. He came out in his full military uniform. Mr. Anderson, Bully Ray, and Devon were in the ring. They introduced him. They talked about his backstory and how Devon and Bully trained him for free. You know, Devon and Bully have their own wrestling school down in middle Florida, in the Orlando, Tampa area. So, I don't know what to think. I think it's a good thing that they're giving this guy a chance. I mean, he deserves, you know, to be able to fulfill his dream, especially after, you know, what he's paid to defend our country, you know. I'm all for it. You know, I really respect these guys to go overseas, especially with what the hell is going on in the world today. I know I'm getting off subject here. You know, this is not a wrestling thing. I'm getting off subject, but you know, it's a scary time in this world. You know, it's a scary time to be an American. I'm being quite honest with you. I would be shitting my pants if I was told, hey, you're going to have to go overseas for your job and you're going to have to go over in Iraq or Syria. I'd be shitting bricks right now, considering what's going on there. You know, the American journalist who was killed, murdered. I don't call it execution. Execution is when you're putting a criminal down. This guy was not a criminal. He was a U.S. citizen who did nothing wrong whatsoever, and these, pardon my language, these bastards brutally murdered him. Pure and simple. They could dial it up under their religious beliefs, but bottom line is, this guy did not deserve to die. And it's outlandish that they expect everybody to conform to their views. So it's a scary time. So for Chris, you know, to want to fulfill his dream to be a professional wrestler, I'm not faulting the man whatsoever. Let him have the opportunity to fulfill his dream. Now, whether he'll be good or not, I don't know, but he deserves the chance to fulfill his dream. So, with that being said, this was a feel-good moment segment. There wasn't, you know, nobody came out, was a smart ass, or, you know, tried to, you know, interfere, or people being heelish. The guy was introduced to the crowd, and it was, you know, and it was very mono. I liked how, you know, Anderson talked about his time in the military and showing respect to Chris, and you know how he's very passionate about the wounded veterans, and I really think that this is a good thing. I'm glad TNA's doing it. Yeah, TNA's getting publicity from it, but still, you know, they're giving this guy a chance to fulfill his dream, and I'm all for that. And that's what we need in the world right now. You know, these guys, these men and women who are serving our country, going overseas, putting their lives at risk to defend our freedoms, you know, I'm not going to fault this guy one bit whatsoever. You know, let him have his opportunity and let him try, you know, to fulfill his dream. Because if anybody deserves it, he does. So that's all I got to say about this segment. It's just a feel-good moment. The best of the series between Team 3D, Bully and Devon, the Hardys, Matt and Jeff, and the TNA Tag Team Champions, the Wolves, Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards. the first team to win 2 matches will either become the new TNA Tag Team Champions or retain. And the winner of this match gets to pick the stipulation for the next match. Oh man, this was like so back and forth, fast paced match that was like, holy shit, you need a Rosetta Stone to keep up with it. I mean, they were hitting left and right moves, taking each other out. There was a nice suicide dive by Jeff Hardy. The Wolves were just tremendous. They were, quick kicks, insecurities. There was a nice double foot stomp on Devon by the Wolves. A lot of near pinfalls in this match. I need a Rosetta Stone, so I got my laptop here trying to help me keep up with this action. This is how fast this is going. And yes, I did watch it live, and I was so into the match, it was just hard to keep up with. And plus, I got a little distracted because my wife had just come home from work, and she had had a bad day, and such. So, it was a really, really good match, and I was, happy, to watch it. It was really, really good. Oh, my laptop's being a pain in the butt. I do apologize, but I don't want to leave out any of the action because it was just so damn good. This match, I'm telling you right now, this is a match you want to go back and watch if you had not watched it, because this match was like the match of the night. Best match, bar none. It was the best match. Okay, this is just some of the things I want to read off to you. Some of the action, because like I said, this was like, I had made notes, so you have to bear with me. There was one point where Devon and Bully were setting up for the what's up, but Eddie Edwards was able to stop it. Matt and Jeff had set up poetry in motion, but Devon Bully stopped that by sending them out to the ring. There was just so many moves. There was Jeff Hardy had hit this nice splash on Team 3D on the outside of the ring, and then Matt Hardy followed up with a moonsault off the top rope, which was kind of full. It was several times Matt had went for a twist of fate. One time he went for it on Eddie, but Eddie was able to counter it with, was trying it on Davey Richards, but Richards was able to counter with an insecurity, and Eddie followed it up with his own kick before Davey hit a German suplex on Hardy to get a 2 count. And it was just back and forth with these two going through it. Now, toward the end of the match, Matt was able to avoid a double stump, the double stump for the Wolves, excuse me. He hits the twist of fate, and then Jeff was able to hit the Swanton bomb. But unfortunately for them, Team 3D was able to break it up. Team 3D hits the 3D on the Wolves. I believe it was Davey Richards, but I could be wrong. But it could have been Eddie. It was going back and forth so fast. But anyway, they hit the 3D, get the 1, 2, 3. So now Team 3D is 1 up in this series, and they get to pick the next, the stipulation in the next match. I got the funniest feeling. Devon, get the tables. Yes, I expect that to be a tables match. Which would be interesting to see between these teams, because I have not seen the Wolves in a tables match. We know what the Hardys can do in a table match. We know what Team 3D can do in a table match. So, definitely, this is a match you want to go and see. I give it a 3 3/4 star match. And this is the reason why I give it that is because it was only about 10-12 minutes long, because I think they edited damn things so tight, but it's still a great match to watch. You guys gotta watch it. This is the match I'm telling you, you have to watch. You have to watch this match, okay? So, the stars of the night, we'll get to that in just a minute. not a bad show tonight. I wouldn't say it was I would say it was a very good show. I wouldn't say it was a great show, but not a bad show, and it was above average show. We had some segments where they did a segment with Gunner and Samuel Shaw in a hotel room. Shaw was like drawing the skylight, and Gunner had left, and there was a uniform. I guess it was Gunner's uniform hanging, and for whatever reason, Samuel Shaw decides to wear the thing. So when Gunner comes back, Gunner is not happy about it and tells him, take the thing off now or I will take it off of you. So are they going to turn Shaw heel and then have him feud with Gunner? What are they going to do is the $1 million question. So I thought it was a little interesting. I have to give Samuel Shaw credit. He's really took this character and done something with it. So we're just going to have to wait and see. Another little funny moment was the bromance, Jesse and Robbie backstage doing some kind of dating app thing, and talked about how I guess it's a compatibility thing that matches you up with individuals. Well, Jesse says he's just got matched with a knockout, and Robbie says, I did too. And who did you get matched up with? I'm not telling you. I'm not telling you. So it's like, I guess this is this little segment they're going to do with the bromance now. Who are the knockouts? Well, if you don't know by now, behind the scenes, Robbie E. is dating Brooke Tessmacher. They recently just filmed The Amazing Race. They were on The Amazing Race, which is going to air this fall. They're listed as Dayton Pro Wrestlers. I think it's going to be sort of interesting. So I'm rooting for Robbie and Brooke. That's who I'm rooting for. I watched The Amazing Race, but that's who I'm rooting for this season. Not a lot of backstage segments, but because the segments, most of the backstage segments related to other segments that was in the ring. I want to talk a little side TNA news. If you don't know already, TNA does have a TV offer. It's from Discovery's Velocity. It's an HD only channel, only available in 50 million homes. And catch this, they are only willing to pay a fourth of what they're currently getting from Spike TV. From what I've read, that would mean TNA would have to cut talent and cut production value. To me, it's not worth it. They would be better off to fold and just be done with it. But we'll have to wait and see. Now, will I continue to watch TNA? Yes. If they go to Velocity, I will continue to watch them if it's available on my cable system, which I don't know. I need to check that out. I hope they don't go there, but if they do, then I will, get the channel so I can watch them. TNA is in a real bad crossroads right now, and I'm hoping they get a better TV deal. I really do, but it doesn't look good for TNA. It's going to take a super miracle, and I just don't see the super miracle happening. I really hate it for the talent because they got some of the best talent out there, and I just don't know what to say. And I will say, Dixie Carter, you have to hold her accountable. Made bad decisions, bringing in Hulk Hogan, Eric Bischoff, Ric Flair, and they didn't do anything for the company. And I hate to say this, even Mick Foley, who's a hardcore legend, one of the coolest guys you can ever meet. But what did Mick do for TNA? I'm just being honest about it. Let's just be honest about it here. Say what you will about Jeff Jarrett, but when Jeff Jarrett was in charge of creative and booking, it was some of the best years of TNA. So, I'm praying TNA can pull through and such, but I'm a realist. I see that, it's going to take a super miracle, but I'm a TNA fan. I'm going to stay with them until the bitter end, okay? Let's name the superstars of the week, and that is Team 3D, the Hardys, and the Wolves. One hell of a match. Like I said again, you got to go and watch this match. It was that good, okay? So, thank you for checking out this week's edition of Making an Impact. Hope you enjoy it. hey, leave a comment, okay? And don't forget to check out the Wrestling Debate. It is now on Blog Talk Radio on the Nerdport Network. You got to check it out with myself and my good buddy, John P. Mayer. You got to check it out. And John has a list of radio shows on the Nerdport Network, courtesy of Blog Talk Radio. You got to check it out. One of his shows you definitely got to check out is Independent Point of View. I highly recommend you check that out, where he had some great interviews, and he has some great independent talent on there. So if you love independent wrestling, you got to check out Independent Point of View. Okay, well, that's it for me for this week. Don't forget to check back next week for another edition of Making an Impact. And don't forget to leave a comment, and we'll see you next week.